Welcome to another episode of Carbon Ether Podcast, where knowledge meets understanding. I am the astute Sharif Prescott, and sitting with me on the panel today is none other than my boy Derek Cook himself. What up, fam?
What's going on,
Doing
bro?
all right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Indeed.
Hey, but first of all, before we get started, to all the stars out there, I'd like for you to please hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment in the comment section, and share with someone. Share with some friends that can share with another friend that shares with another friend.
Absolutely. It's
Make sure
essential that you guys do like, comment, subscribe, and share, because this is how our channel can grow. And without you, the star support, we're not going to gain traction. We'll just remain stagnant. So,
So,
Cook is right. We need your support, and we
Yes,
do
sir.
thank you, stars, and potential stars in the near future. But it's good to be back with another installment of Carbon Ether Podcast.
hold on. You like my shirt?
Oh yeah, show the stars.
Yeah.
What it say? I can't believe what you say because I see what you do. That's nice. Who is that on the front?
See that?
Is that James Baldwin?
Yes, sir.
All day, every day. Prolific writer,
All right,
author,
all right.
playwright. Brilliant brother. Today we're going to be talking about the 1985 move bombing over in Philadelphia. Some of us, like myself, I was 11 years old when it happened. I didn't know much about it didn't hear anything about it growing up.
I was in 8th grade.
Yeah, so this is wild. American citizens, a bomb dropped on them, and this is crazy. But when you get the whole story, you'll better understand what happened, should it have happened, and why on earth would anybody drop a bomb on like 4 or 5 blocks was destroyed? 11 blocks?
Something like that. It was like 61 homes. 61 homes. So that's a lot of homes. If anybody doesn't know how homes were, or maybe still is to this day in Philadelphia, that they like what they call them. They like side by side.
Yeah, it's some crazy stuff.
So
Man.
so you figure one house burns, and if they don't put it out, it's going to catch on to the next house and the next house and the next house. So did you know that all this happened on Mother's Day?
No, that part I didn't know.
Yep, this happened on Mother's Day. May 13th, 1985 was Mother's Day.
Man, well, let's get some backstory on it.
So, but my research, where I went in and researched, said that the MOVE group was a group of people that were, natural people. They wore dreadlocks.
Well, hold on. Let's correct something real quick. Not dreadlocks. Locks.
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 Yes, I'm sorry. Locks. They wore locks, and you figure in 1985 in the inner city in Philadelphia, at that time that was just something a little, I guess, strange to some people.
Taboo, I guess.
Yeah. So
Because when you look at the fact how locks were so demonized back in the day, and this goes back all the way. The demonization of locks go all the way back to Napoleon when he was over in Kemet, which most of us know of as Egypt, when he said, "My, how I dread to see those locks," and it stuck ever since. But even to date, there's a stigma against melanated people's hair, the length of it, the style of it, the way we wear it. But if you go back historically, that's always been us, and now we find ourselves, and I know this kind of like off subject. Find ourselves ashamed to sport or stand in confidence in our own beauty, in our own likeness. So therefore, we find ourselves altering our looks to have more of another look than that of our own. No knock to anybody, you like what you like, but we've got to get back with get back into being comfortable with who we are. But back on to the subject. Sorry about that rant. I want to say I want to read something from Zen Education Project, teaching people's history. MOVE is a political religious organization founded by John Africa Sr. in 1972. The name is not an acronym, but an emphasis on the living philosophy each individual life depended on every other life, and all life, and that all life has a purpose. So all living beings, things that move, are equally important, whether they are human beings, dogs, birds, fish, trees, ants, weeds, rivers, wind, or rain. Again, it's from Zen Education Project. So I don't understand if this is what MOVE was about. Again, MOVE was not an acronym. Um, it was more of an ideology of how things are. And it said it right here. So I don't understand the whole bombing thing outside the fact that what neighbors said. You carry on and let's
But
get some more history.
well, from my research, like you said, it was founded by Mr. John Africa, and they didn't want to be called a Black Power movement
Because it
group.
wasn't. It wasn't
they,
that.
Yeah, exactly what you said. They believed in everything, like you say, the all animals and
Everything
people.
had a right to freedom and liberty.
Yes. So, and that was the main problem, I think, in the neighborhood where they were, where the neighbors were complaining about them moving into their house. He had his move group,
Yeah.
move into a house, but of course they didn't believe in, you know, killing bugs, rats,
Yeah.
things
Almost
of that
like
nature.
like a Mahatma Gandhi would be like.
So,
you know, a
so
lot
the
of the
neighbors
Buddhist
complained.
monks and
Yeah,
so forth.
neighbors complained about the smell and the stench and the trash and stuff like that. So I guess that's where the police got involved.
Well, yeah, and let me interject if you don't mind. The way I look at that whole thing when the neighbors started making the complaints, I think some complaints might have been true, but I think for the most part, a lot of the complaints was far fetched. And being that anytime we come across something new or we become envious, we like to kind of like embellish on some things because in some of my research, I was reading where you had people, whenever these guys, anybody from the movement would be incarcerated on a lot of false charges and held without bond, and then sometimes extreme bonds. I think I read somewhere where it said like on a misdemeanor traffic violation, a $50,000 bond, which is absolutely absurd. But we know how people from our community can be, how that jealousy and envy or having to deal with the unknown. It's really taboo, and we don't like to go and dive in and try to explore and figure out what's going on. But back to my point, I'm ranting again, y'all forgive me. In some of the videos I watched, you had guys talking about when they was locked up, how they would go to the guys or the individuals in the movement, especially the men, and ask them, you know, like, can you help me get off drugs? Can you help me get my GED so I can move better throughout society? Because you know, without a GED, you can't get no job. So that was a lot of great attributes with the movement. So
And people in the move group movement were educated.
Yeah.
They were educated.
And that's the thing, again, it goes back to any time. And y'all look at today, even though we're the last people to receive any benefits from DEI or affirmative action, any times it comes to us banding together and lifting ourselves up, lifting our teams up with intellect, not violence, not the infringement on anyone else, you know, stopping the movement stop the progression of anyone else. Anytime we band together, there's something that's we're doing something bad. We're doing something awful. What is wrong with melanated unity? I don't get it. And sometimes we're our own people that stop the unification and the progression of ourselves.
Yeah. Well, did you know that in 1978, that's when the group movement had their first encounter with the Philadelphia police. They had and got into a heated confrontation and clash with the police, and where they had one police killed. Did you see that in your research anywhere?
Yeah, I saw so much. I'm trying to gather all my thoughts now.
Yeah. And nine people in the group movement in 1978 were convicted, and they represented themselves, and they didn't. The one policeman was killed and 2 firefighters were injured, but they convicted the 9 group members, and they were convicted and sentenced to 30 years to life in prison. That was the first incident that they had with the Philadelphia police.
And this is the crazy part. Frank Rizzo, I think he was governor, but I know he was a staunch racist. He did not like black people. He did not like to be challenged. And I say black people for socioeconomic purposes at this point.
You said black people, but the Philadelphia, you talking about Philadelphia.
Yeah, we're talking about Philly.
You talking about Philadelphia.
Yeah, we're
Black
talking
people.
about Philly. Yeah, especially where they was at in the community. They thrived in, and it was an affluent, upper middle class, melanated community. But this Frank Rizzo, they called him Super Cop. How do you earn a title Super Cop? And the reason being is because the people he was arresting looked more like you and I.
Oh, of course.
And of course, you know they didn't arrest anybody else.
Of course.
But back to your point you was making about the courts, they challenged the courts with actual law.
Yes.
Because if you understand how jurisprudence works, then you would know that, when we go into the courtroom, we're stepping into maritime law.
And they represented themselves.
Which has no jurisdiction over us because we're supposed to be in the courtroom of common law. So going into that, which we'll be having that discussion later on one of the later episodes with Travis Nunn, one of the hosts of the CEP show. So podcast, I'm sorry. But yeah, they went in and they was knocking fire in the courtrooms. Legally representing themselves and winning. Mm-hmm. This is the intelligence that these people had. And again, let's go back to what it says about MOVE. Socially and environmentally focused, MOVE members attended protests and supported animal rights, environmental justice, racial justice, since the founding of the organization.
But again, it's the way they looked.
It's always the way we look.
The way they looked, and that's why things got out of hand. So, yeah. So that was just the first time in 1978 that they had to come from there with the clash with the police. The second time was in 1985 when they were involved in the other clash that led to the bombing, and that was that involved the 13 people and 6 were children, and basically the MOVE group got into a confrontation with the Philadelphia police where over 10,000 rounds were fired by the police, and they dropped a bomb on the MOVE group.
This is the thing.
10,000 rounds?
Talking about that 6,000 rounds.
10,000.
Yeah, I said 10.
Yeah, 10,000.
When it come to the bomb, this 2-pound satchel bomb composed of Tovex and C4 explosive. That's what was dropped on these people. And look,
with kids.
The thing about it is,
children.
They say when they was told to use excessive force from the beginning. For what reason? Because they said they was running around outside naked, or they was throwing their feces out the window.
Which wasn't true.
Which wasn't true.
Which was not true.
They was keeping up loud noise all night long or what have you, which wasn't true. But we know how, if we go back and look at COINTELPRO, let's take Billie Holiday for instance. Why was she murdered? Basically, she wouldn't stop singing the song Strange Fruit.
Strange Fruit.
And if y'all don't know what Strange Fruit means, it means hanging, the lynching of one of us from a tree or whatever you want to call it.
Look it up.
They will go out of their way to stop anything that brings attention to the ugliness that they bestow upon us. They'll go out of their way. And typically they hire our own to get them on the inside. And come back and tell them, when you go look at the Black Panther Party, it was one of our own. The guy got caught stealing cars. Hey man, go and infiltrate these guys, and we're blah 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 blah. Guilt got the best of him in the end. He committed suicide, unfortunately, but that's what happens. The MOVE thing over in, the MOVE bombing over in Philly is definitely an atrocity. Innocent lives were lost. I remember watching the video during the research when this young child, probably no older than 12 or 13, was stating that when they was trying to run out of the house, they was met with gunfire.
Yes.
that was forced back inside. So they kept yelling at them, "Hey, children are coming out." And eventually, some of the kids did make it out, but they were killed.
Yeah. And no one's prosecuted.
No, of course,
No one was prosecuted.
The governor and the mayor gave
No
permission.
one, yep, no one's prosecuted in this, and which is unbelievable that you can shoot people or fire on people. Let me not say shoot, but speaking the truth, that's what they were doing, shooting at people coming out of a burning house with no weapons, women and children.
And this is the thing they said when they came upon the scene, that they were met with gunfire. But the entire time, if you just think about how much sense this don't make. They've never been arrested. Nobody had ever been arrested for a violent crime except for what you mentioned in the 1970s when one officer was killed and 2 firefighters injured or what have you. I can almost guarantee you what the cause of any of the unfortunate events that transpired, how those events transpired. I can guarantee you it was at the hands and the aggression of the authority as we see today, because we know when you look at us, our skin is an automatic threat.
Of course.
Even though we haven't done anything, it doesn't matter. A traffic stop can turn into a funeral.
That's what I was gonna say. Even a traffic stop. So, but wasn't John Africa married to what was her name? Romana?
I don't know. You didn't take those notes, shout.
Yeah, yes. Romana Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was married to her, and she was an educated woman. She attended Temple University and was going to be a nurse.
It's the same thing if we go back to, again, the Black Panther movement. Let's go back, Assata Shakur, who had to escape.
I'm laughing. She's like, you didn't take notes. I was just trying to get a name down. What's her name?
I'm just tripping like I always do. Let's go back to Assata Shakur and why she had to leave. Education. Accused of something she didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to Afeni Shakur, Tupac's mom, who was in school at USC to become an attorney. She represented herself, although she wasn't an attorney, and won her case and was let go, charges dropped. When it comes to the intellectual capacity of people that look like us, it's always deemed that we haven't earned anything. Well, I beg to differ. When you look at the inventions, the creation of almost everything in this country, this very thing we're using, the algorithm that gets us paid, that create monetization for us, whenever we do have a podcast like we're seeking, you got to give it up. I mean, we're innovative as hell. So I give two damns how this administration or any other clown out there stating that you guys are DEI, you guys are DEI. No, we're not.
Yeah.
We're brilliant.
Yeah.
We're beyond brilliant. We're ancient, and we need to get back to that thought process. We need to start lifting ourselves up by way of emotion and intellect. We ain't talking about no bootstrap, that old school metaphoric garbage. We're talking about banding together, building our communities like they used to be built, where it took the entire village to raise a single child. Yeah. We got to get back to that, because this state that we're in now is devastating. Because we're divided.
Like some of the research that I've done too on the bombing, it's like, the neighbors, like you said, how they said that the neighbors were complaining. The police, this is what the police were saying, that the neighbors were complaining, but the neighbors weren't complaining. But also, why would you, as a police, drop a bomb on a house have women and children in it? I don't understand that.
Well, if you go back to Emancipation Proclamation or Proclamation Emancipation, whichever way you want to word it, it does not matter, because the thing is, a proclamation is a speech. It's only a speech. Emancipation means a transference of ownership. If you're 15 years old, you can emancipate yourself as long as you have a guardian. So where does that put us? We didn't ask for liberation. We asked for emancipation. So we ain't gonna get into that, because that's a whole technical thing. But when it comes to looking at history, 3/5
No,
When have we ever mattered? I'm sorry, mattered.
Yeah,
When
you
we was
right.
considered profane galleon,
Yeah.
human chattel.
Yeah.
We're just human cattle. When you just look at things historically and you look at what's happening now, and then you go back and you look at the remnants of Move, an organization that wasn't talking about anything but everything having liberty,
Yep.
everything being liberated. The wind, the rain, a turtle, an ant, a spider, a dog, a river, a tree. This is what it said in the article. That's all they cared about. Everything having free
Yep.
will and free reign.
Exactly what they care
Stop
about.
the impediment of this. Don't kill the dogs.
So
Do something special. And to save the dog or what have you. And we know how a certain demographic feel about dogs. They'll lock us up for damn ever for taking the 5 cent jawbreaker out the stove. And boy, you kill a dog? Shit, man, you may get the death check.
well, the thing is, you drop a bomb on a house to because a group of people won't come out of the house for what ungodly reason you want them to come out for, so you can arrest or shoot them. You drop a bomb on them, and then you let the fire burn for an hour and a half.
And told, don't put it out, let it burn for a while.
And you have neighbors, these neighbors in this black neighborhood saying, put the fire out. Why are you not putting the fire out? Why are you not putting the fire out? And then it catches on to another house.
To another house.
Then
and
it catches
another
on
house.
to another house.
Domino effect.
So in the end, 61 houses are destroyed. I don't know how many city
people
blocks
are displaced?
that is, but that's a lot of people who houses were lost, personal belongings were lost, and all this because the police chief decided to just let them burn, just let the
Yeah.
house burn.
Yeah, check this out to what you're saying. Now I want you guys, our stars, to pay attention to this. I'm not going to read this fast. I'm only going to read the first paragraph, and then you guys go and finish up yourself. You can go to Google Zen Education Project, and then do your research from there. No matter what anybody says, a lot of times, no matter what you find, somebody's going to debunk it. Well, I work with a guy who's from Philly, and I talked to him about this situation, so he'll be coming on the show also. It says, BlackPass.org explains, on May 13th, 1985, city officials sent police to serve arrest warrants with orders to carry out by extreme force. So off the mother scratching top, they had orders to carry out extreme force off the rip for a non-violent organization. Here we go. Nearby, a local resident was told to evacuate but could return to their homes the following day. Nearly 500 officers in SWAT gear, backed by heavy artillery and anti-tank machine gun, surrounded the block. A shot fired from inside the Move residence was met by a volley of over 10,000 rounds in 90 minutes. All shots was into the home of the Move members. Off the top,
Including 5 children.
extreme
children,
force.
with children in there.
Because
They don't care.
we know that was the 80s. 1985. We know what was going on in 85.
So you imagine what would happen today.
Man,
It'd be even worse today.
the saddest part about this, myself, living in Temple, Georgia, growing up in Temple, Georgia, I remember being 10 years old with my mom. Had this big green Cadillac, I think it was. Mom, if I'm wrong, please correct me. They my 3 younger siblings in the car.
You
We
got a
was in the
Cadillac?
back seat. Yeah, it was one of them big green long things, but one of them Dolomite
We could
Cadillacs.
afford that. We had a little Ford Escort.
I don't think we could afford it either, but
Had a Ford Escort,
it was
man.
a Dolomite Cadillac.
Little ugly little gray Ford Escort.
I remember being in the back seat when we come around the curve and gonna go over the railroad tracks. It's a big hill at the time. It's not so big now. When you're young, the hill look humongous. A sea of white hoodies, cloaks, and what have you. Rode right into the center of a Klan rally. Had no idea what was going on. Seen that with my own two eyes at 10 years old.
And your mom, being the grown up, got her thing in her mind is protect her kids
Protect her kids.
automatically.
I remember my cousins and I would be walking down the street, and white men or white guys much older than ourselves driving, throw full beer cans at your head, beer bottles, spout derogatory expletives at you. This is the 80s, going into the 90s, having some racial fights in school.
Oh yeah, of course.
I've seen this type of mess my entire life. I have biracial children. A son and a daughter. I have biracial grandchildren. 3 boys, 1 girl. My family is mixed up. Asian, white, Latino, and melanated people. It's mixed up everywhere. Even my extended family is heavily mixed. So we've tried to find some cohesion, some peace within our family sect and stay away from all this buffoonery, which is why I always say this is not an attack against anyone. This is me speaking truth to power from past experiences and even lived experience right now in real time. This is nuts. This is nuts. Looking at the past, looking at the things that's happened when we go all the way from the didn't start with a Trayvon Martin, but for the most recent in modern times for us, Trayvon Martin, Sandra Bland, Orlando Castile, and it goes on and on and on to the George Floyds, and on up to whatever the most recent thing is. People are still being lynched, and then they'll turn around and say, well, they did it to themselves. They hung themselves, suicide. Let me explain one thing to y'all, and I'm going to go my Roland Martin mode. Let me explain one damn thing to y'all. Who are y'all kidding? It ain't to say that we don't, but how often you going to hear about, ain't no black man hanging himself, nor black woman. We'll find other ways to do it, but I'll be damned if you sell that wolf ticket. Thank you for my Roland Martin moment.
Yeah, I'm not hanging myself.
No.
So
There's a lot of ways I can check out of here.
yeah.
It damn sure won't be that way. I'm OCD anyway. They say you bunk on yourself when you hang yourself. So I know damn well, even in death, I'm OCD.
Yeah, and nobody's telling you to do that.
No, we're just saying
that.
And we're not picking fun. It's just the truth.
Just casual conversation. But but to jump back on the move with them, let the fire burn for over an hour and a half, and like you said, Miss Romana Africa was coming out of the building with a child, and I guess they grabbed it. They got the child. They got her. Everybody else didn't make it, and she still was convicted of arson and conspiracy.
Now listen, they dropped the ball.
So tell us how, if you're in a building, the police drop a bomb on you, to basically they blew your house up. You're trying to get out. The house is on fire. You're trying to get out. They're shooting at you. You have no weapons, but you still get charged for arson and conspiracy. Make it make sense.
And on top of that, they said they shot first from the move home. Not true. They're gonna always say the worst thing about us, so and share it in the news to demonize us. We know that's not.
Yeah, one of the police officers said that, because they went in one home and blew a hole through the wall of the house next to the move group's house so they can try to get in, but they had it fortified, and they said that the police officer said that a lot of the other police officers were saying that shots were being fired at them, but it wasn't shots being fired at them. It was like the glass popping from the fire and the wood and stuff like that.
They knew that.
Yeah, and he said it himself. And when he went to grab the kid that was with Miss Africa, because he went to grab the kid to get the kid and grab her, because they were the only two that basically made it out of the building, that another police officer told him, watch out, it's a trap, that maybe the kid had a weapon. Like, are you serious?
This is how we looked at. Let me tell you how poorly we looked at. It says in 2021, it was reported that the remains of two of the girls murdered in the explosion were stored at the Penn Museum of the University of Pennsylvania.
The Dotson family.
Yeah,
The Dotson family.
yeah, they got the remains.
12 and 14-year-old.
Yeah, they're asking for the remains back. They did ask for the remains back. And this was in 2021.
Yep.
So again,
Over 30-something years that family didn't know. And the remains were just left in a box.
yeah,
Just put in a box.
to study.
Just hey, here you go. Here's some remains from what happened in 1985.
You know, we can go into at this point, man, we can go back to centuries of police misconduct. Not all police are bad. I knew some cops growing up that were some good people. My eldest brother was a cop. I know another guy I'm quite fond of who was a cop. I went to school with a guy I was quite fond of. He was a cop. I know one of my martial arts instructors ended up becoming a cop, who I know to this day is still a good guy.
I have three friends here, white cops,
Yeah.
and they are great guys.
No, because
Great guys.
all cops ain't bad. It's like anything, a couple of rotten apples will spoil the whole batch. And that's a metaphor for saying make all cops look bad to certain people.
Yeah.
But there are some good cops out there, and yeah, we do need cops, and nobody's talking about defund the police, all that nonsense. It's just what it is, nonsense. We need cops. Some cops are some great people. Firefighters, we need them. We need everybody in every position that was created before we need.
Yeah.
There's no need in dismantling anything or defunding anything. It's just probably better training. But outside of that, we need it. We need cops. Protect and serve. Not murder and harass.
Yeah,
Just saying.
but this is something that I think that everyone needs to, if you weren't aware of it or didn't know anything about it, need to research it, because again, like I said, you were a certain age. I was young at that time too, and didn't hear anything about it really. Didn't know about it. So we know that the generation after us definitely don't know about what happened, because you figure only 7 years later the Rodney King beating happened.
Man.
That was only 7 years later.
Yeah.
92 was it 92 or 90?
92. Yeah, 92, 93.
So-
They were still in high school.
So that was only a few years later.
Yeah.
And people and the younger generation probably don't even know about that.
No. That just y'all know there's a lot more information we could have shared on this. We could have went really in depth, but it's just an open conversation
Yeah.
he and I was having the other day, and decided, hey man, let's just drop a couple of little shells out there on the beach and see which one people pick up. So you guys can go and do more in-depth research on this. Again, there was 11 people killed, 250 people made homeless. They didn't even give people homes after they destroyed their homes, told them to leave their homes so they can drop a bomb. The city of Philadelphia. Hold on, let me say this right here real quick, Cook. The city of Philadelphia ordered to pay $1.5 million in 1996 to move bombing survivors and the families of the people killed. $12.83 million awarded in 2005. Look how long.
It's a long time.
$12.83 million awarded in 2005 to residents who were made homeless. Look how long it took for justice to be served. And if you think we can get that same kind of justice today, I salute you. Because, well, we are in troubling times, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what it's called. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Because if it took that long for you to, compensate someone for making them move out of their home destroying their home. A lot of people relocated. They had to relocate to
You
different
have no
states.
choice.
Yeah,
What you gonna?
yeah.
Man, if I was up under the watch of Frank Rizzo, the super cop, me being who I am, man, I'd have been left because I know
Yeah.
what's gonna happen to me.
Yeah, just even in the city.
I'm unapologetically me,
So,
and I know that wouldn't work with me. So I would definitely be like, I got to go because I'll end up in a whole lot of trouble. Not because I'm gonna be, a handful. That's how we called him when we was young. Hey, he's a handful right there, boy.
but just speaking your mind.
Just speaking up for myself.
speaking-
That freedom of
speaking up
speech
for
don't
yourself.
always mean free.
Yeah, because these ain't the old days
Yeah.
where you, okay, well, I'm going to just
Yes,
tuck my
boss.
tail and run. No, with us, it's not happening with us.
I ain't trying to do that.
I'm not tucking my tail
No.
and running. I'm going to let you know what's on my mind.
Yeah,
So-
and I'm glad, it's an honor and a pleasure to share the little bit of information we did provide. And sometimes I know you guys are going to be looking for more information, but really and truthfully, we just want to drop a couple of seeds here and there, and y'all pick them up and plant them
Yeah,
and see what grows. And that's what's wrong with a lot of communities across the board is we don't like to do research. Research is what creates that critical thought, is what give us the fortitude to think aggressively, think outside of that usual typical box that we're confined in. It help us look at our peers and know that our peers have been wrong. Some of them the whole entire time, but being that you don't know, you're easily swayed. So
yeah, it's killing us today.
Yeah, it's
because
killing us.
nobody wants to research anything. It's that quick.
with a whole smart device in their hand, they
Yeah.
ain't researching anything.
Nope.
But
They could pull up a whole book and go in and research and read right there on that smart device.
right there on that smart device,
So-
and yet we still about as slow as the tortoise running behind the hare.
Because we didn't have smart devices back in our time.
And now you had a library card and library book, and
And you
an
had
ugly librarian to have to deal with.
And you had to read that book.
You had to read
So, but that's the problem nowadays. Nobody wants to read books. Books are still out there for you to read. Take time, sit back, read, research.
it. Yeah, I mean, when you look at the book of Eli, when he took that text, that religious text, to wherever that location was, he was supposed to take it to. And when they first opened it, the bad guy in the film, he was like, "There's nothing on it." Braille is what it was. You rub your fingers across it, you know the letters, and or how it's written, and you know how to read it. It's the same thing. We should have that same ability when it comes to listening to a person say something. You should be able to read that person like you're running your hands across Braille, and know that person is full of womp 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 womp. But anyways, on another note, we're gonna get out of here. We appreciate you guys for joining us again.
Appreciate you very much.
Yeah, I thank you for your frequency, your vibration, and your rhythm. May the universe continue to bless you and favor you. Until next time, Sharif and Cook are out. Peace.
Peace.
Subscribe, like, and share to the podcast. We can use your support. We're trying to grow the channel. I deeply appreciate it, and I will give shouts out. Appreciate it.